Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Premier Podcast, episode 2, where we are speaking with Matt Balsley with Domina Stone and Luke Ziegler with Sherwin-Williams. We're going over the importance of partnerships. Thank you again so much for tuning in. Please hit the like, subscribe, and we're going to go on from there. Clay, how you doing, sir?
Doing great this morning.
Luke, good?
Loving it.
Matt?
Amazing as always.
Good. Welcome to episode 2, where we are going to continue the conversation of partnerships. Where we left off at was talking about the importance of technology and how the advancement of technology has helped not just us as a company, but also companies like Sherwin-Williams, companies like Domina Stone, to stay on the cusp, the cutting edge of what the industry is requiring us now to do, and that is, like our company, think outside the box, right? And so...
And be quick.
Right now, because everyone needs it right now.
And so, I can start it off. Not too long ago, we were cutting with bridge saws and everything. And some people know what a bridge saw is, a lot of people don't, but it's a saw that just goes horizontal and vertical. That's it. Now, we updated our shop. New times call for new things, right? You need 7-day turn times, 5-day turn times. I can't do that the way we were set up. So we got a new saw on there. We can cut a slab in 16 minutes.
16 minutes, people.
See? Yeah, here goes all the secrets. But no, so slab in 16 minutes, where before we were cutting a slab in about 42 minutes. So those kind of advancements, the sink cutouts, those are all done with a water jet now, where they used to be done with a finger bit. Used to be 7 minutes a sink. Now it's about 1:20. And so just those kind of advancements, the digital template, the laser products, software, the labeling, all that stuff that we use in our process, we can get counters out so quick.
So it's nice to know that the importance for both of you guys, for us even as a company to know, it's nice to know that your companies that you represent also are in favor of technology, which favors the partnership. But it's nice to hear. It's nice to know that your Domina Stone wants to invest in future of technology, in making more products more efficient, right?
Yep.
Less time, which means that it gets out of the warehouse or whatever the facility is that you guys are working in to get to us, the customer, quicker.
Yeah. The more that can be done on a machine,
Yeah.
the quicker you can get the product. It's that simple with countertops.
Tell us, if you would, about the partnerships you have with those vendors that let you know what the upcoming technology is and how you can utilize that.
So, the technology is ever changing.
Yeah.
We're constantly looking a year, 2 years ahead and trying to keep up with everything. Maybe do we need it at this very moment? Maybe not, but we're getting prepared for it. Stone countertop fabrication, as far as the cutting process and all that stuff, you really can't get anything that's going to be too much faster.
Yeah.
You can only cut stone so fast. The motors, the torque, the blades will only go so fast and only cut through that material so fast before something happens. Same with the routers, the polishers, the sink polishers, everything else. The tooling for those machines, it's very expensive. They have high-speed tooling, but they only last so long. And if you go too fast, wrong program, you're going to mess something up. And so a lot of the technology would fall in the templating to programming. The Alpha Cam programs, the laser products programs, they're coming out with new technology with stuff. You're gonna have to edit that out because I shouldn't have said that. From the templating to the programming, that's the new technology that we're gonna be seeing here in the next couple of years.
Do you guys feel like, and Clay, I want to just ask this last question. You can ask whatever you want, but one thing that came to mind was, for us, obviously, partnerships is two gentlemen like yourselves that work at two pristine companies. You've been there for a long time. I know yours is recent, but being in the industry for a long time, you believe in the product that you sell. And that's always going to be the most important, right? We understand and know from a construction perspective, if we didn't believe in the product we sell, we would never be as successful as we are today, but we believe in what we're doing, like we see it with partnerships with you guys. How is your partnerships besides Premier? What partnerships do you guys try to utilize internally with other people? Let's say paint, for instance, Luke. I know nothing about paint. I know how to slap it up on a wall. I know what different sheens are. I know what different numbers are on the side of a 5-gallon bucket. But what partnerships does Sherwin-Williams use or partner with to, nothing proprietary, but what other partnerships outside of this does the company foster?
Logistics even maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, no, I feel like we kind of have a state-of-the-art delivery service. We've adopted a lot of, I can't speak to the deep-rooted part of it, but
Yeah.
it used to be a van at the paint shop and, hey, get in it, we need to go get this here, and then run to that store. Now it's like a UPS or a FedEx or
Yeah.
you've got a hub system that delivers paint. They start at one place and 10 vans are running the district like crazy. Obviously, you can all drive down the freeway and pass our semi trucks coming and going with tons of paint going to store after store after store. But
See them all the time.
Oh, yeah.
They're big 18-wheelers.
Oh, yeah.
Those trailers are huge.
yeah. And they're coming and going twice a week. So we have to bank on the relationships with the drivers and having good drivers getting all the material to run your guys' huge projects. An exterior capital improvement job's not there's a lot of paint moving.
It's a lot of paint.
But
That's true.
And I think another partnership is you guys and your team relies on me a lot with orders, so I have to facilitate those to the stores, to the store managers, and so it's a partnership with me and the store. It's a partnership between you and I. It's a partnership between the driver and the store, and it's constant communication between everybody because these properties are also very large, and
Yep.
where did the paint go? The property is also getting paint delivered to the maintenance team.
Yeah, yeah.
And we can't get that intermixed. So, the partnerships are ever ending. They're between everybody.
I would say for partnership wise, Matt, for your end, I see that you've expedited those turn times from getting in and templating. What have you guys done differently? So if we backed up 10 years ago, I remember guys would come in with their sticks and their glue guns. What have you guys done in your partnerships for your programs? What are you doing differently now that expedites that template time so much, or we're getting the faster turn
Digital
times?
templating, it's huge. It's huge. You go in, you set up your templater, and you calibrate it and do all that stuff, and you just outline your cabinets, bring it back, finish it off in your software, add the overhangs to it. It's 30 minutes, for a job. Where before you'd have to cut sticks, glue sticks, right on it, center line, everything. It'd take you a good person, probably do it in 40 minutes, but then you got to bring them back, and then you got to put them on the saw on the slab, try to line up the veins. Now we have a program called Slabsmith. It takes pictures of the slabs where we can input those
Nice.
templates,
Yeah.
and we can line up all the veins. So we can
Nice.
send that proof over to the customer. I don't really like that. Let's move the vein a little bit this way, or how about if we do this? So there's a lot of waterfall edges, in a lot of the houses we do, and they want it book matched. Well, book match means the vein follows through on the waterfall, and that's what that Slabsmith machine's for. With back in the day with sticks, you'd have to line that stick template up on there, and hopefully the saw cut straight. Otherwise it's going to be off 1/8 of an inch, or whatever the case may be. And so that's a huge modern advancement, is that digital templating.
Makes me think of how much waste probably happened back in the day with a saw, again, that cuts
Oh, yeah.
an eighth. What are you going to do with an excess piece
The-
that can't be used necessarily?
That the program that we use to finish all of our drawings and stuff for production, it tells us the yield of our material.
It's great.
And so it's like, if you're in our industry, if you're at a 50% yield and you have square foot programs, that's not good.
Definitely not.
Definitely not good. So, you want to be up in the 75, 80 range per slab. There's usually 15 to 20% yield waste on every slab, depending on how it lays out. It's a very misconstrued thing. Like, you'll have a 56 square foot slab. It's 126 by 63. You can't really get 42 square feet out of that, depending on how it goes. So it's like, just because you got 56 square feet doesn't mean you can get 56 square feet out of it, unless you're using the whole slab just one square.
Yeah.
So when you got to connect veins and everything, it really messes with your yields. And so with those programs and the layouts and the templates, it really helps us utilize the material to our full capabilities. That's the biggest advancement for sure. And there's
So-
some machines too.
So with those partnerships then with those companies where you guys are getting these programs in place and you're improving your lead times and you're cutting down your cut times. What do you see next? What's coming next through those partnerships?
Faster routers. So the routers we use now, they're the beginning stages, and then now they've got more. The models have changed significantly over the years, and even a new company started making new ones, and we can polish about 3 times faster with those. In our Idaho location, they have the new machines, and they
3
can
times
polish.
faster.
Oh, it's
Nice.
insane. And so Idaho has it. Idaho's got all the new modern technology. It's a brand new shop. Everything's brand spanking new, and they have the new routers, and the technology in those things is insane. And so like the relationships that we rely on, like we have slab vendors, and there's 10 to 12, 13, 14. And sometimes you'll get a custom home over in Suncadia where they want this crazy natural stone that you have to get from New Jersey. So you call the vendor over there, because we all know who it is, and you get that over here, and maybe they'll help you with freight, maybe they won't. But we have a lot of vendors that we have to count on, our sink vendors.
Yeah.
Every job, every full house has 7 to 10 sinks, depending on how many bathrooms.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sinks that get put out every day. So we got to continually bring in sinks. When you guys do 4 units, if it's a 2x2, how many sinks is that? It could be 4 per unit. That's 16 sinks just in one bank of jobs. So our sink vendors and our slab vendors are very important to us, and we have very similar relationships or partnerships like this.
Yeah.
I can call Ian. I can go over there, and I just name dropped him, but I can go over there to our supplier and talk to him face to face.
Yeah.
He can work with us on deals. Hey, I actually gave you the wrong pricing. What can we do here? Like, let's talk about this. I need some help, or whatever the case may be. And so those relationships that we have, not just with our customers, but with our suppliers too, they're very, very similar.
So part of the Premier podcast, what we're trying to do is get pointers to our listeners. We know there's other general contractors that are listening to this podcast, and we're hoping that they can glean from our relationships with industry leaders like yourselves, pointers that you guys can give them. So I would ask you, what advice would you give to other general contractors that are looking to garner these relationships with vendors like yourself? What should they look for?
What I've always gone back to is like one of my first sales calls. I walked into an office in Bellevue, and I was nervous as all nervous could be. This was my first sales call. I just went into sales in the resurfacing industry. And I said, you know what? If I can make her laugh by the time I leave, I'm in. So I went in there, and I found something on her wall, and I made something of it by the end of the conversation. By the time I left, she was laughing. And it kind of goes back to what I said in the first part of this.
Yeah.
Is just be yourself. Take the sales hat off. Come in, give them a little spew, a little blurb, whatever, but then just be you, and that's huge. If you can be you, the work will come.
The authentic and realness, I
Yeah.
think, is so vital and so important in what we all do, not just you guys, but us as well. Other people look at us as a partner, right? And I think that that's important to always keep in mind, that the more real you can be, the more transparent that you can be and open, the walls go down. It's like going, I think sometimes, ironically, it's like going to a car dealership, right? The car dealership, people actually go there and they show up to go buy a car. But ironically, when they walk through the door, they're bulletproof and you're never going to be able to get to them. Well, you walked into a dealership to buy a car. Who do you think is going to approach you? A salesperson, right? And so the objective at that point is to try to get their walls down, because even though they need a new car, they instantly think that you're going to sell them new floor mats or something or whatever it is, right? So being authentic, being truthful, being open right from the bat, from the beginning, I think is vital.
And I think if you listen to them versus try to sell them, it goes a long way too. Like you're not just there to let them listen to you.
Yeah.
You need to be there to listen to them as well.
Yeah.
And time and time again, I'm with people doing calls and stuff. What was that guy's name? It's like, really?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean, what was that guy's name? You just shook his hand 5 minutes ago. His name was Tom.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And if you
Yeah,
really
and
care,
that's the thing. If you really
you're gonna
care,
remember.
you're really authentic, you're going to remember their name. Those are all things that, in a sales position, or even going for that partner type mentality, you need to have that thought in your head, like, I need to be on my game.
Yeah.
Like, I need to not only talk about what I need to talk about, I need to listen to what they need to tell me.
Yes.
But I also need to remember the conversation and who this guy is.
Yeah, I can tell you from the industry
Take
point.
notes.
From the industry point of view, that was one of the biggest things that I would always test when I was an executive. Is I wanted to make sure, were you actually listening to the needs and what I needed from you as a supplier or a contractor, right? And so I would always go back to a question that I would say, I don't really actually remember all of it, and I wouldn't do it to mess them up. I wanted to make sure that they were paying attention, because I knew that if they were listening and they paid attention, then they cared. It's when they couldn't remember, what did we talk about? They were already tuned out. There was something else either occupying their mind, and I felt like at that point I wasn't the main focus and I wasn't the center of attention. And to be honest with you, I think our industry partners, people that are in multifamily, one of the biggest things that we can remember collectively with our own prospective companies is they're an important voice. And whatever position they hold, that doesn't hold weight. And it should never hold weight to them as individuals. Everybody that's on that property is just as important. And it falls back to, right, you never know if the maintenance technician is going to be a director in 6 years, right? And I think that those are things that could help everybody, including, like you said, people that are out there listening, just to keep that in the back of your mind that everybody's equal and everybody's just as important. And when you just blow people off or you don't take them serious, it's a recipe definitely for a bad thing.
Well, imagine if somebody came into your offices and did that to any of the people, not knowing who you guys are, and they come in there and do that to one of your guys sitting, at another office.
It's happened.
Well, I mean,
it's happened recently.
I can't imagine like that. I can just imagine how that conversation went and how quickly when that guy left, what the conversation was left behind. Right.
I think a lot of times though they will try to divert. What I have seen is a lot of people that are in sales that we do have partners with, but let's say we have a relationship with Sherwin-Williams and we have a relationship with you, Luke, but there's a new person that comes, or even if it's a person that's been seasoned but they're new to the area. One of the things that I have noticed is a lot of times they will, and I'm not calling out Sherwin-Williams, I'm just using this as an example. Probably should use an example, but let's say any company, but it really wasn't Sherwin-Williams, to be honest.
Insert their competitor without saying it.
Right?
Yeah.
No, they want to blow off everybody until they get to Clay or I. They think that Clay and I are the ultimate decision makers. But what they do not understand is we've given the authority to our team members, our employees that are on leadership roles to make all the decisions needed for the company. So when they do come to Clay or I, typically I'm saying, did you talk to XYZ? No. Well, go talk to XYZ.
Yeah.
And then if we end up talking down the road, then it's for a completely different reason, but I'm not the one who's going to approve or disapprove if we go with you as a subcontractor, as a vendor. We actually don't have anything to do with that anymore.
Well, we were talking when we were golfing, and it was, go talk to Matt about this.
Go talk to Matt.
Make an appointment with Matt. Go talk to Matt. It was like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's
And
swing
that's
on.
even a relationship that goes way deeper. But it also sets you guys and other partners up for success in knowing if they treat us like this out of respect, they must do that for everybody. And we do. We look at it, no matter how long we've known partners, you guys have personal relationships with, as long as you see that we stick to what our pedigree is as a company, that's even more respect on the side of saying, you got to go talk to Matt or you got to go talk to XYZ person. It just shows that we're committed to the policies, the procedures, the hierarchy that we've set as a company, and nobody actually gets through that wall. Now, if they're an ownership group, those people, have direct connections to us. Why? Because typically it's a higher level conversation, and by no means does it take away from our suppliers or partners. It's just higher level. We have answers that they typically wouldn't
And it
have.
goes back to what Matt said, where he knows exactly who to reach out to when he calls our company. If he needs a PO, if he needs schedule, whatever. He knows exactly who to speak to because
Yeah.
those people are put in their respected roles to do their job.
Obviously, Luke didn't learn that, but that's all right.
Yeah, we don't. We just blow past the PO system.
Yeah, we'll get it to you later.
Yeah.
We'll get it to you later.
POs are overrated.
Back to the thing, like advice for people is like go in there open-minded and with the correct expectation. Don't go in there expecting to get an order when you leave that
Yes.
door. I mean, sometimes you have to plant a seed, and that seed takes 6, 7, 8 months to grow. But don't give up.
You got to keep
Be
watering.
consistent.
Yeah.
Keep watering it.
Yeah.
Stop by. Just check in. Say hi. How about a coffee? Here's a coffee.
There's
or
nothing
whatever the
wrong
case
with
may
that,
be.
man.
You gotta wait
There's
for
nothing. And
something
so,
to happen at their other supplier possibly to let you put your foot.
I mean, there's customers I've waited a year to get on board, and in that 1 year, that very first visit they knew what I was selling. The second visit they knew I had kids. The third visit, the fourth, the more they learned about me and the more I learned about them.
Yeah.
And then after they finally started hitting the ground and running,
Yeah.
it was the flower had bloomed, everything's good, and we're off to the ground, off on the ground running. So
You
it's
establish
you
credibility.
established it, and so it's you stay consistent, you stay open-minded, you keep watering that seed that you planted, and just go in with the right expectation. It takes a long time sometimes to get people on board, and that's just the way it is.
And I would say the fact that you garner this relationship and you guard it and you make sure that it's important to you, it is to us as well. Because you guys are able to do that with us, we're able to go to our clients and maintain the relationship we have with our clients.
Yeah.
Because our clients know they can count on us to have you deliver what you promise. So you make us reliable. So when we shine as a company, it's because of you guys, not just us.
We do really look at it, with what you had just said, Matt. For us as a company as well in the beginning, one of the things we talked about on a previous podcast was they might know who Clay Floyd and Joe Flores are, but they didn't know who Premier was. So one thing to keep in mind for us was it's not about knowing individuals. It's about watching and seeing. And so they trusted us, but they didn't know anything about Premier. So yeah, there was a lot of jobs that we didn't get that we had to do the same thing. We had to foster those relationships. But fostering didn't always mean that I had to go knock on their door every week to check in. It just simply meant that they were actually watching us, how we grew, what our establishment was like, how we treated our subs, how we treated our partners, the vendors in the industry, our supply chain. And they just watched. And then eventually a door would open, but they had to see, one, it made sense, and two, that they weren't committing to something that would fail.
Right.
And I think that does fall back to what actually you just said as well. Industry executives, management company executives, ownership groups, one thing I think that they do really well is not just monitoring and looking at companies like ours and making sure everything's good, but they actually do follow the line, if you will, of companies that we work with. They don't just look at Premier, what do you guys do, how do you do it? They appreciate the fact we work with Dominus Stone. They appreciate the fact that we work with other industry partners for stone. They appreciate the fact that we use Sherwin-Williams paint. It gives them also, I believe, my opinion, a sense of security because that's what they've been conditioned to, and they actually have fostered their own relationships with Sherwin-Williams, whether it was 10 years ago, 15, whatever it was. So there is a common connection there that maybe people don't realize or understand, but when they see who we choose, and that would be a topic, obviously I want you to talk about the importance of choosing the right partners and not just accepting people, for us and for the contractors that are listening out there, or other business owners that are listening out there, making sure that you're choosing your partners correctly. You want to talk a little bit on that and how important it is to not just pick people, but to choose a right contractor that fits, or a right supplier that fits whatever business need they would have.
Definitely. So I would say it's very important that you pick the right partners. So, and that comes through time. So it takes time to get to know, as Matt said, the visits, he continues to visit. You get to know these vendors and suppliers. You get to know them as a person and you know their product. And then once you actually do work with them, you get to find out what their reliability is. Can you count on them? Do they deliver? Okay,
right.
now once they've established that they do deliver on time, you can set your clock on their delivery. Now you can show to your client that you're going to consistently deliver on time or ahead of schedule. That's what we count on. So I would say that you need to make sure when you're testing and vetting subcontractors and suppliers that you don't just go to a couple. That's the one thing in the 4 years as Premier that we've strongly learned is that we're consistently filling that cup back up with new suppliers, whether they're backups. We do have our favorites. There's nothing wrong with having your favorites that do supply you and come through, but you generally do need backups that can be there in the time that you might give 80% of your work, for instance, to one supplier, but there'll be the instances where you have the 20% that you might have to send somewhere else.
That's right.
Because just as our clients generally have to get 3 to 4 bids for every single job, we also generally have to go out to several vendors to get pricing.
To
Now-
match the need.
To match the need. Now, you can't go to 4 vendors every single time asking for pricing and then go just to one same vendor every single time
That's right.
and give them the work. The other 3 vendors will stop giving you pricing.
That's right.
That's what we've learned. How important it is that you also then have to spread the love a little bit to some of the other vendors to then consistently gauge the market and how the deliverables are across the industry.
You know, I think it's with Sherwin-Williams, our biggest one would be knowing that you are our preferred, you are our closest ally when it comes to partnerships. We do not use another paint company resource when it comes to paint. We do have, obviously, again, management companies or some ownership groups who choose to have a different type of product, and that's their decision to make, and we can all understand that. One of the unique, interesting things is working with like Dominus Stone. You guys openly understand and know we do have people and we do have Dominus and there is a relationship and we do use you a lot, but you are not our only
Correct.
countertop supplier, stone supplier, which I believe we will have a guest on here that is from another countertop supplier. But what's important to understand and know is the value that we set in place for individuals like you, Matt, and for the company that you help run right now, where for us he understands it's not all going to him. That's part of what we do as a company. We understand that not all the jobs are freaking coming to us. Even though I wish we could have them all, they're not going to come to us. It doesn't mean that the management company doesn't like us any less. It simply means that it's kind of wise sometimes not to put all your eggs in one basket because something could happen.
Well, what if I have a machine down or
There you go.
whatever's down?
That's
and
exactly
You
right.
don't know any other system but
Right.
Dominus Stone. What are you going to do? You're not going to find something in 5 or 7 days to do your
And,
stone.
not gonna-
and we're not going to come to the front of the line.
No,
Right.
not at all.
If
What
we
is
haven't been using
remarkable
other-
is when you can ask a partner. You can actually physically ask a partner who's also a friend and say, listen, my machine's down, Joe. Okay, who do I go to? Now, we won't mention names, but you have the ability, because you don't burn bridges either,
Right.
to know who you could recommend where it's not, yes, it's competition, yes, it's other business that you would lose, but there is an inept trust in
Well, there's
knowing
a lot of respect there.
there's a lot of
Yeah.
respect, and that's something that I think is very important for our audience, our viewers, our listeners to understand is it's all about the respect, and that should be the topic of the conversation, respect and not burning bridges, because we know that we could sit across from each other and have civil conversations and understand, listen, we might be doing the same thing in 2 different lanes, but the truth is there's a mutual respect there where we're both in business. We're both trying to succeed and put food on our families' tables, but that doesn't mean that I get to cut you down because I think you're less than. We don't cut on our competitors ever.
I was going to say, we know our partners are actually our competitors, and we know which ones, if we're going to lose a job, we know which ones we do want to get those jobs.
Yes.
So we know sometimes we'll even steer a client, and we know a client's going for bottom dollar pricing, not quality.
Yep.
We'll steer them in the direction of who we would like them to go to if it's at all we're able to.
Yeah.
We would rather see someone that we like that's a competitor get that project as opposed to someone that we know won't deliver as well as they will.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, I mean, just having your eggs in one basket. I mean, we don't have all of our eggs. We don't do just multifamily.
Yeah.
We don't just do single family homes. We don't just do.
you got a
restoration
variety of
companies.
resources
You
coming
have
in
to
to be able
do. We have 5, 6, maybe even 7 different aspects of the industry Because what if multifamily slows down?
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, what are you going to do?
Same thing we
Yeah.
just
What
talked
if
about
what
in
if the
previous
single
podcast.
family home slows down? Well, then you got all these other ones to
Then we
back
have
up.
to- some
You have to
diversification.
diversify your portfolio just to
Great topic.
stay in the game. You know, and so
We will talk about that.
You'll see our podcast on diversification.
I was gonna say also to your point, as far as when you were talking about the vendor, if your machine's down, I think as a salesperson too, a lot of what I do, and I'm sure a lot of what you do is we're problem solvers. I mean, if I can put out a fire for you, if I could solve your problem, I'm that much more credible on for you, and I'm that much more valuable.
Reliable.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest part. I mean, like when you're talking about going into your first sales call, hey, learn about them. Let them learn about you, and one day maybe they're gonna have a problem, and you solve the problem that you're in. I try to solve people's problems every single day, and that's gonna create an ally.
I would also say, I remember there was a time when we had a big freeze in Texas and we lost products. So the paint wasn't available like it usually is. And one of the key things to me in our relationship, Luke, is that you didn't lie. You never lied. You never said, oh yeah, there's paint. Oh, it's delayed. The truck's taking longer than it's supposed to.
Yeah.
You never lied. And that's one of the big thing about these relationships is you have to tell the truth. It's the easiest thing to continue if you just stay on track with the truth. Yeah. Well, Luke would tell me, he would say, nope, there's none, but I'm going to look. I'm looking. You know what? I think I found 100 gallons here. I found 200 gallons there. Are you okay with me getting you 100 gallons? I'm like, yeah, sure. When will the truck be here? And then you see Luke driving up. He's got his car, he's got paint in the back, and he's just helping deliver this paint. And then we've got trucks coming from Georgia or wherever it's coming from.
Yeah.
They've got a couple hundred more gallons. They're going to give us part of it. But Luke never lied to us. And that's one of the things that I would say, another pointer to contractors out there is don't lie to your clients ever. The easiest thing to do is tell the truth, and they will respect you 100 times more than if you try to just make it happen.
That's right. I think we talked about that in a previous podcast too.
Yeah,
About
honesty is key.
transparency and honesty, where you got to be able to do it, and I think it helps us just cultivate the relationship even deeper, and it allows us as contractors, our company Premier, to be able to give the information to a client of ours in the real form, the raw form that they're looking for. And if we don't get that from the supply chain, the vendors that we're using, and we get a runaround, then it doesn't give us accurate accurate dialogue to be able to communicate that to the client. And you can see where bridges have been severed there because somebody's given false information somewhere down the line. So
Over deliver.
And like
Yeah.
nowadays, some people will call outside of you even knowing. They'll call and be like, "So I hear this truck's delayed." No, there's
it's
no
not.
problem. What?
They didn't put their
so-
order in until yesterday.
Yeah, and that's the new modern day because you have to delay their project,
Yeah.
and it's just now they got to wait longer. People don't like waiting, so they'll call themselves and be like, "Hey, is this paint delayed or is this stone delayed?" No, we have actually 7 slabs in stock. Okay, hey Matt, what's
Why
up?
did you tell me
Why?
this?
So there's that part of it too, and so the honesty and the transparency is 100% key, and a lot of times it makes the end consumer look at it in a different view. Like, wow, because you can really tell when someone's being 100% authentic.
That's right.
Honest, transparent,
Yeah.
versus someone that's trying to beat around the bush. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
You can. And so it creates that view for them to be like, wow, this dude's like, he's really being honest, and okay, sweet, thanks for letting me know. Let me know when the material comes in. Have
Yeah,
a
you
great
don't
day.
get a real
You know?
harsh response at that point in
Yeah.
time because you're really not at that moment. You understand it's not that particular individual's fault. We do obviously with materials sometimes that are delayed by some of our suppliers where we have to unfortunately give that information to management companies, and we don't like having to do that. But the reality is it happens.
Yeah.
But the more transparent, the more open you can be and real and
And your
truthful,
demeanor,
then,
everything.
then they
Yeah.
understand, hey, we value this partnership again, and we understand it's not your fault, and let's work together. And we try as a company to try to solve that problem with them, to find alternatives, and we've talked about this before, to do whatever it takes to move that project forward. And if we have to work together and figure it out together, then that's what we're going to do because, again, they value the partnership.
And the other part of that is like when you have those situations, don't send an email. Pick up the phone,
Yes.
make a call,
Yeah.
let them hear your voice, let them hear you. That's what they need.
Your empathy.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, they don't get
at
that
the
in
end of the
an
day,
email.
we feel bad that it happened. We can't control it
Yeah.
most of the time, but don't send an email. Just
easy
pick
way.
up the phone.
Yeah.
Unless it's a follow-up email after the phone call.
Yeah, because
follow-up.
hey, sorry, I didn't pick up. Yeah.
So I would like to ask you guys separately, because you do have relationships with our competitors as well as us. You know, we're not the only show in town. How do you balance that so well?
Well, I mean, in my opinion, I try to handle every single one of my customers, the same. If I'm your friend and I'm a partner of yours and I'm a partner of a competitor, doesn't mean I'm sharing any valuable information with anybody, but I want them to be successful.
Amen.
So,
That's good, man.
because I mean, if that would be me putting all my eggs in your guys' baskets,
That's right.
you're the only ones growing, So, I mean, I think again, it's the relationship. It's a relationship. I'm honest with them. I want them to be successful. I hope they want me to be successful, and I know many of them do. And I have great relationships with other, with other of your
Contracting
competitors and other
companies, of
contracting
course.
companies.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's that problem. So if I can just be of value and bring value to everybody's company, I mean, there's enough food on the table for everybody to eat. There's a lot of jobs out there. You're not, like you said, you're not going to get them all. But it's, and I think a lot of people are pretty guarded about, obviously sharing, any information in the industry, in this industry too, because they're, like you guys have said, everybody knows one another. And, it's integrity. I mean, at the end of the day, I have a lot of integrity the way that I work myself. And, so I hope I have a lot of partnerships within, the industry and,
You do.
and with
You
other
definitely do.
customers that, and that they value them as much as I value their, partnership and
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
A lot of it, when it comes to like quoting and, quoting these big projects, I try to keep everything equal, because it's like Luke said, you try to be the best for everybody. You want to see other companies grow too. You can't just, give all the goodies to Premier, and watch them just skyrocket.
We do.
Well, yes, you do. But, at the end of the day, it's all about what you guys do with the numbers. If we send out the same number to 4 different employees or 4 different contractors,
That's right.
it's up to them to see who wins the project. They could put 30 on top, they could put 25, some put 5. It's at the end of the day, I let you guys argue over that stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's, you try to be as equal and as fair as possible. Now maybe a project's bigger than another, so you get better pricing because I can get material for cheaper.
That's right.
Or you guys are doing a bigger scope of the project, so your pricing's different. Maybe they're doing a bigger scope of the project, so their pricing's different. But at the end of the day, it's a shared value. Mariners games, it's all that stuff. But it can be tough at times to balance. It really is. Because you want to do what's best for some of your favorites, but you also want to be fair to the other ones that may not have the market share. So that's kind of where my view is on
I
that.
think what's important to end this off is recognizing the fact that, one, we're not going to get everything, right? And it happens even with you guys in the supply chain, right? You're not going to get every job, but recognizing the ones that we do get, recognizing the value behind the people who give us the work, viewers, listeners out there who, some of these that are listening and viewing today are people who actually use our services, all of our services, right? But valuing the ones who do choose to use us, right? As we choose to use you, they choose to use you, they choose to use us. And I think what stood out to me in this part 2 of this podcast is it goes back to the honesty, the integrity, and the trustworthiness and truthfulness. I mean, there's 4 parts there, but they all coincide with each other. And I think if we can all learn to, as viewers, listeners, us here, live that way every day, I think, 1, the world's just better off. It needs a little help right now. But 2, it just sets an example for the people that are around us who we don't recognize or realize may look up to us at certain points of our careers and what we do professionally. And it sets that example moving forward.
Well, it's a small world, man. People talk more than you think.
Yeah.
It's a big industry with a small town feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people that talk about us probably every day that we don't even know about. And so if you come
We
through
talk
as an
about you every
honest,
day.
I bet you do. Genuine.
Oh, Matt.
I know, he's so cute. He has a beard now. Genuine, honesty, authentic, that's what you want people to be talking
Yeah.
about. don't be like, oh, Matt, screwed me out of, $150, or you want to give it back to me because I added a sink or whatever the case may be. That's not what you want people to be talking about. You want people to be talking about the good things.
Yeah,
so it's always something to just think about. Just be a good person.
Yeah.
Be authentic, be genuine.
That'll help grow your relationships.
Oh,
even
it
if
just
you-
comes naturally.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
None of us are perfect. I've made mistakes, and the other thing too is I'm humble enough to say I'm sorry. I've said sorry many times, and I've said sorry for things I didn't even do wrong. For me, it's with my company. With Sherwin-Williams, we're a team. If I throw a store under the bus because a delivery mishap happened, that doesn't do anybody any good. So and it's a we, and we messed up, and it's again to the point. How do we move forward? How do we get past this? Let's get in my car. Hey, next time we learn from something. We got to keep a coaching opportunity, a teaching opportunity. I think thank you and I'm sorry are words that a lot of people.
We greatly appreciate you guys being on today with us for this 2-part series. It's what people need to hear. It's what they need to view is how we all do it. There's so many people, I think, in the industry who don't have authentic relationships with their suppliers, with their contractors. They just were put in situations and they treat it as if it's just a person that's not that relevant.
It's an order-based relationship.
A tool,
That's it.
Right.
a tool
that's all
rather
it
than
is.
a partner.
Yeah.
So, keeping that in mind, again, thank you guys for being on today. Thanks, Clay, for the introduction. So it was really good. I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for
I
the
appreciate
time.
it too,
Thanks
man.
for Sherwin-Williams. Thanks for Dominus Stone. Thank you guys for joining us on this second part of Premier Podcast, where we have talked about partnerships and the importance of those partnerships. Couldn't thank you guys enough. Thank you so much for your support, your continued support, and we will speak with you next time. Thanks.